Welcome to the Swinburne Professional Staff Network podcast, the podcast professionals with Kristy Ash, made by professional staff for all Swinburne staff. Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Horn, and I'm one half of this podcasting duo. And for those who don't know, I work in the School of Business Law and Entrepreneurship. So Sobel, across a couple of research groups and teams, CSI and CXI. And I've been at Swinburne for nearly 6 years. But before we go any further, because I do like to bang on, please let me welcome to the mic my partner in pod, the wonderful, the kind, the best boss ever, Ash Carden.
Thank you, Christy, for that always delightful and excellent welcome that I always feel a little bit bashful about, but I'm not sad.
It's a good run-up. And it's all
great run-up.
Hey, Ash, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. And
in the studio, I couldn't make the studio today, which I'm kicking myself for.
That's okay.
It is the funnest place to record. For your mum's purposes, I am 2 on the count so far, possibly a third. Jury's out.
The mum count, yeah.
The mum count. Christy's mum listens to the podcast.
Yeah, she has no choice, so she has to.
Our propensity for ums.
Yeah, there is a lot, but they can also be deleted out, but I don't know how to do that, so we will just try and cut it. Hey, Ash, I was just thinking, how long have you been at Swinburne for, and what is your role here?
So I saw this question on your brilliant show notes, and Workday shows us all exactly how long we've been at Swinburne. So my length of service is 12 years, 1 month and 28 days at Swinburne. I was here as a contractor for about 12 months, 12 months before that. So first started in 2010 and then moved us into a Swinburne role in 2011, June 2011.
Wow. So just imagine if you had a kid 12 years ago, you would have a 12-year-old child right now turning into a teenager. How do you feel about that?
I am trying really hard not to give your mum another for the count. Also, having a 12-year-old or nearly teenager is absolutely mind-boggling. I have a 6-year-old. We're in our first year of school, and that is mind-boggling enough. I think I would just be quite literally walked on if I was already mum to a teenager, as in I would possibly be on the ground just as a potato and not able to move anymore. And that 12-year-old would know how to survive, though. I can tell you that 12-year-old would figure everything out while their mother is rocking somewhere in a corner. So good for that 12-year-old that doesn't exist. But the 6-year-old does actually theoretically tell me that they enjoy putting dishes away and enjoy doing jobs, like housework jobs. It tends to be that when I ask for housework jobs to be done, they're not so fun.
They're not.
Anyway, that's anyway.
Not doing that. Hey, Ash, so what's happening in your job? What's news?
I mean, there's new stuff every day, but it's new and same old and new as we work through whichever next thing at Swinburne. So in the academic support services space, semester 2 is in full flight, so they're just off the back of a peak period and working through the other items that get put on hold for that. It's a big push for semester 2. The research space is an ever-evolving door.
And isn't it good to see campus alive? Heaps of students on campus. I'm on campus today, so is our special VIP guest we'll introduce in a minute. But it's great. It's a great day in Melbourne today too. But there's lots of activity happening around campus. And if we rewind back to our last podcast, we were just about to be interviewed by one of the Swinburne marketing, media and comms students. And I'm not sure if our followers got to see some of that online. We shared some of that excellent footage. That was fun, wasn't it, Ash?
That was great fun. I thought you did very well with that footage, actually. I saw it. I thought it was quite impressive.
Yeah. Even though the lights kept going out in the library, that was hilarious.
Yeah, so we did learn from this student that periodically the lights go out on the 3rd level of the library for reasons unknown. Now, the room we were in, it was because of the sensor, so that was fine. But the entire third floor of the library had the lights go out at one point, and the student that was interviewing us was telling us that does periodically happen. So that was a fun new discovery.
Good interview though, didn't it? You know, added a bit of nightclub feel to it.
Yeah, it added highlights. How she had put together her sort of final product from that interview and the interviews that she was doing around podcasting and how lockdowns have changed podcasting and the media that we engage with. Her outputs for that assignment I thought were brilliant too.
Really good. Yeah, it was super fun. Had a great time.
Working with our students is one of my favourite things, whether it's for like an interview or project work. So we've had different placements in different roles with us, but also capstone project students, either postgrad or undergrad. It is always I've never had a bad experience working with one of our students or groups.
Yeah, loved it. And I was really honoured to be approached by her. So shout out to Vanessa. I know she's listening, and hope everything's going well for her. I've had just a couple of weeks of annual leave, Ash, so I'm full on refreshed and ready for the back end of the year. Got a couple of really big events lined up. Super excited about that with CSI and also CXI. So yeah, got lots of good things to look forward to. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm looking quite refreshed, aren't I?
You are Kristy, you always look fresh and gorgeous. What are you talking about? I also happened to see some of the pictures of that trip, and it was amazing, and I had extreme trip envy.
And a really good reminder to all staff, professional staff, whoever's listening to, use your annual leave as much as you can. I know not everyone can take a 3.5-week holiday. We don't have kids, so we've got that freedom to do stuff like that. But it was just unreal. It was a really good break, and haven't taken a long break for ages, so can highly recommend that. I think I've got some.
So are you and Howie offering to take people's kids for 3.5 weeks while they have? That's what I was hearing somehow. It's what it felt like to me.
Nice try, Ash. Hey, as we were speaking of working at Swinburne for a really long time, so you've said you've been here for 12 years, like your child. Why don't we introduce our special guest and get her out of the green room and try and squeeze some information out of her? What do you reckon?
I reckon that's a good plan, although when we say squeeze some information out of her, we mean that in a absolute figurative sense.
Yeah, a non-touching, squeezing way.
Yep, no harassing, no anything like that, and no one's getting fired.
All right, so why don't you introduce our very special guest, Ash? Take it away.
I was going to do a mini drum roll and then I remembered the sound effects come in. Our very, very special VIP guest, that is 3 berries, is Christie Raby. You may well have come across Christie in various hats of various years at Swinburne. One of the things I believe we'll be asking is, in fact, how long Christie has been at Swinburne. But for now, welcome, Christie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, ladies.
Oh, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's really lovely to actually see you and be recording today, because this has been a long time in the making. We had this in your diary from, I think, Feb this year.
Yeah, it's been a while. Obviously, it's been a busy period, and then you, as you mentioned, have been away, which is lovely. So thank you, and thanks for delaying us a little bit till we could all get together.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Before we start the podcast in earnest, because we do have a bunch of questions to chat to Christie about today, let's talk about how good it is to have another Christie on the podcast.
Just bounce each other's names off each other.
How good is it? But I actually wanted to talk to you about constant mispronunciation. I get Kirsty 99.99999% of the time. How about you?
I get Christine because my name is spelt like Christine without the N. And as you said, you get Kirsty because you're spelt with a K and it looks very similar. But it's more annoying when people email you and your name is above, but yet they still spell it wrong. So I have had that my whole life as well.
That I get that all the time. And even when I reply, and sometimes I got to a point where I was, put it in brackets, Christie, not Kirsty, smiley face, but really I want to do fist.
It's not that hard. Surely it's not that hard. But I've had that my whole life as well. And at one point, there were 3 Kristies in marketing and we were all spelt differently. So then it became quite common to just have your name spelt wrong because they didn't know which Kristy they were talking to.
What a nightmare. Well, it's excellent to see you. Kristy, perhaps you could give us a bit of a brief overview on what your role is at Swinburne and how long you've been with the organisation.
Thank you. And you are making me feel a little bit old now, to be really honest with you. But Ash, my time period is actually very similar to yours, which I didn't know until today. So I started in December 2010. I started in our student recruitment team back then, and it was just little old me. So I did events all on my own, but I worked really closely with the student recruitment team. So coming up to December, it'll be 13 years, but I've had 3 children in that period. So 3 mat leaves over that 13-year period. So I feel like it's not quite that many, although it does, like I said, you're making me feel a little bit old. But like I said, so yeah, I started in the student recruitment team in my own. I have always been employed within marketing, so within central marketing, but I have changed teams many times. I've actually forgotten how many times my team has been moved around from different reports to try and find the right place that our event coordination sits. So I am manager at University of Events, and I look after 2 streams of events now. So we've got our student recruitment team, which is where my history has come from, and our engagement events team. So my history has been with the student recruitment team for the majority of those 13 years. Like I said, I started on my own and now we're a team of 5. So yeah, that's, like I said, and I sit within I sit within the communications and media team as part of marketing. So again, I've had a change in the last sort of 2 years, sitting under Matt Macklin in our comms team, but I still work with marketing and very closely to our student recruitment campaigns. So that's it.
Yeah, it's a pretty big role.
Was my description of kids or teenagers accurate about sometimes you just need to lie on the floor and let them do their thing?
Sometimes my oldest is 8. So youngest is 4, oldest is 8 and in between. So 2 at school, 1 still in daycare. So I definitely feel you there, Ash. There's lots of juggling and all those things going on.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't complain. I say that with 1, let alone 3.
Yeah, it's a definite balance.
And Kristy, you've recently had a promotion. Can you share what that is and how you're settling in?
Thank you. Yeah, so exciting news. 2 weeks before Open Day, I secured a promotion, which was great. After being in my role for quite some years, I was definitely ready to take that next step. So the second team that I was talking about just before, the engagement events team, which is headed up by Caitlin Hindmarsh, her team now reports into myself. So I oversee the 2 teams and really trying to move into a strategic direction for what events we're running and why, and how they sort of loop in with the university's vision and our Horizon 25 goals and those sorts of things. So it's actually really refreshing. I really enjoy the challenge. There's quite a little bit of information to take on and learn about. I've always known, I've worked alongside Caitlin's team now for nearly 2 years, but I haven't got too much into the nitty-gritty. So just finding out a little bit more about what they do and how we can improve things and what direction we want to take that on. Her team's also taken on a lot more events in the last 12 months. So juggling all those and the demands for her team. So at the moment, we service the marketing department with our future student events, and then Caitlin's team works really closely with the advancement team on a lot of our philanthropy events, and then we have taken on some events from the Vice-Chancellor's office. So unfortunately, we don't service the whole university. We really have our own strategic goals and vision within our team, but we have taken a lot more on recently. But like I said, I'm really enjoying the challenge. I love the team environment. So I really enjoy having both teams. And like I said, taking on that next challenge, it's really exciting.
Good on you. That's really good to hear. And it's nice to be rewarded as well. So you've been here for such a long time as well. So you with that career progression. So congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you. It is there.
Our next question is around large events. Ash, maybe you can ask the question to hear about the. Yeah, go for it.
Some of the largest events at Swinburne, the largest events at Swinburne then would fall within your remit Open Day, the staff Christmas party. The recently Open Day, most recent I should say, can you sort of talk us through what it's like to manage that, something on the scale of Open Day and 2023 versus previous years?
Yeah, sure thing. So we have been lucky with Open Day. It has returned somewhat to what we knew it before COVID. It's one of our few events that really has sort of returned to normal. So there is definitely still a need and a want for prospective students to come and see, touch and feel where they're going to spend their next 3 or 4 years and start their tertiary education off. So luckily in the sense that it really has returned to what we knew it before. We've obviously taken certain initiatives to improve and really move to a digital event and really connecting those students with technology and our people as well, which has been really good. So in the sense of pre-COVID Open Day, we obviously had some challenges in a sort of 3-year period there that Open Day saw some very different iterations, but this year it really was returning to what we knew. It is definitely the biggest event on campus. So like I said, we've returned to previously to COVID, we saw up to 18,000 people attend. We definitely got those numbers last year after not having an in-person Open Day for 2 years. And we think we got really close to that number this year as well. It is a little bit harder to tell nowadays because we've moved away from a lot of paper handouts and pamphlets and a lot of the ways we used to count. And we're really moving towards our digital resources and the technologies that we can provide to people. So it's a little bit harder to pinpoint the number, but certainly the campus buzz and feel was definitely up there, maybe somewhere between 16 and 18,000 people, which is great. So it's a really exciting, obviously it's a big event, but it's a really exciting one to be part of. So yeah, but like I said, it's kind of back to normal, which is nice too.
And what would you say some of the pain points or the biggest headaches are, and what the best and most rewarding moments are you of the big events such as Open Day?
It's a good question. I actually had to think about this a little bit. There's not major pain points. However, because it's such a large event, we are literally spread across almost every single building and space in the university. And we use a lot of our resources and our central teams, and then also our academic and teaching partners are the people on the day really showcasing what Swinburne is all about. So the biggest pain point is probably the stakeholder relationships or the staff turnover, really. So when you're dealing with people across the university and it takes 6 months of planning, we often experience staff turnover in that time. And there's a real loss of information in that process. I've been lucky that I've had a pretty consistent team for probably 4 or 5 years now. So we've retained a lot of information. But when that changes hands or changes people on the ground, we're sometimes losing that information. So that's challenging. But in saying that, it's also, we do have that knowledge bank there to kind of go back to. So dealing with so many stakeholders is definitely a challenge. But the most rewarding part, I actually love on the day, taking a step back, taking it all in. And it's really special to see our entire Swinburne community come together on one day. You literally have everybody from our cleaning partners and our facilities teams right through to those teaching and academic staff that are so passionate about what we offer. And so it's really rewarding to step back and see our Swinburne community all come together and really have a great day. A lot of our staff that are involved really enjoy the day. It's busy, it's hard work, you can be run off your feet, but it's really rewarding and it's really special to see the whole community. So that's actually what I love. By the time you get to about lunchtime, you can kind of take a breather and kind of stand back and take it all in, which is lovely to see.
What was the weather like this year? Was it a good day weather-wise?
Yes, it was pretty good considering we're the end of July. We were seeing forecasts of 18 and sunny. So we had sunshine, which was lovely. We had a little bit of wind, which can make it cool on campus. We all know that Swinburne can be a little bit of a wind tunnel, but no rain, which was wonderful and just makes a lot of our plans so much easier. So, yeah, I think we had sunshine and about 16, which was great, but a little bit windy.
Question without notice here. You know, if it's Open Day on campus here, is it the same on all the other campuses as well? And do you manage those Open Days too?
we only run open day at Hawthorn. So we bring our colleagues from Croydon and Wantirna to here, and they participate with us here. We used to, back in the day when I first started, we used to hold an open day at Lilydale and Paran, but now we just concentrate. So we bring our trades partners across from Croydon and Wantirna, and they bring a lot of their displays with them, and some of their plant displays, and they often bring their cubby houses and things like that. So we really try and showcase everybody here at one location.
Never been to an open day. I've got to come next year.
Oh, you should come. Yeah. Even just for the free food.
I'm always up for that. And what do you like event day? Are you a bundle of nerves? Are you organised? Are you focused? Or are you get to that point where it's just like, you know what? It's going to happen. I'm all organised.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool, calm and collected most of the time. I do definitely like to be organised or kind of know what I'm going in with a plan. But in saying that, you can never anticipate some of the things that happen or go wrong or need tweaking on the day. So yeah, I'm actually excited though. I often wake up with that, it's event day feel, which is part of why I do it. I love it. So yeah, and I'm definitely cool in situations. Things come up, things change, things go wrong, but we just think through them and move on to the next thing. So we also communicate on radios across the team. And so you often need to make sure that you sound nice and calm across the radio. Otherwise you can kind of whip other people up into a bit of a frenzy. But no, excited is probably the main emotion I feel, which I love.
Do you have CBs? Have you got like 2-8?
Yeah, we do. So yeah, we have about 30 of the marketing team all on headsets for the day. Yep. It's the easiest way to communicate and for people to hear the conversations that are going on that might affect things across campus.
Oh, totally need some of those. Ash, what do you reckon?
I'm a big fan. We saw them at I've seen them. I was realising I've seen them around open day before, but also at the staff party.
Yes. Yeah.
Very seamless. I quite like the idea of it. We don't necessarily have as many events that have as many locations as what marketing run. Also, yes, we definitely need radios.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I could just walk around with maybe this on my head constantly, talking to my watch.
I could see if my mate has any like walkie-talkies somewhere, but I just don't think it's going to be as sleek.
Nah, super cool though. Super cool. Because we know there are lots of event people that listen to this podcast, and this morning we had the opportunity to meet. We've got an event what do we call it?
Network, yeah.
Yeah, this morning. I was going to call us a cohort. I don't know where that came from anyway. But yeah, a networking team met this morning. So we've got heaps of event staff that will be listening into this discussion. But what keeps you awake at night pre-event? Because I know I'm just like going through everything in my head and, normally don't sleep the night before a big event. What about you, Kristy?
Yeah, I must admit my very first open day, I actually slept in our spare bedroom because I didn't get much sleep at all because it was all on me and it was all in my head and, all the tasks I had to complete. Whereas now we've got the team and we work quite closely as a team across open day. So I must admit I do sleep a lot better now going into an open day. This year I did have a few things that kept me up at night because we did have some staff change of it, but it's normally just the small things. It's the little things that are not necessarily written down in a plan or in a tracker, or it's like, I need to remember that's on me, I've got to do that, or I need to print that, or it's really just the little things. But I generally do sleep a lot better now than when I first started. At my very first open day, I was definitely a bundle of nerves and trying to remember everything and get it all done. It was a bit more hectic back then, but I'm a bit cool, calm and collected now, which is nice. So
yeah, I totally know that and understand that. Let's talk about post-event. Do you have a post-event glow about you when you finish and you debrief with the team, and how does that work, particularly after this last open day?
Yeah, I love the post-event. Mind you, the Monday morning is hard because we have to come back in Monday morning early to make sure that everything is back to normal because classes normally start 8:30 Monday morning. So sometimes it's hard getting out of bed on that first Monday morning. I really enjoy the feedback that we get. We often get feedback from all over the university, from parents, from staff who came with their students or their children, I should say. I love it when they compare us to somebody else, when they've said, oh, I went to RMIT and I went to Swinburne and Swinburne was better because of this. I love those ones. Those little nuggets are really gold. But I actually love the challenge of improving on some of the feedback. So we ask for feedback across the whole university. Our teaching and academic area is very important as to what worked for them and what didn't. And even working with our colleagues in facilities and even like the placements team and things like that. So I actually really love getting that feedback and figuring out how we can make it even better next year, because I think you'll know, Kristy, no event is ever perfect. We can do pretty well, but there's always something that can be done better or something that changes that you can improve on. So as a team, we do that. We'll do a post-event report, particularly for what worked well for us, what didn't, what wouldn't you do again, etc. So it's important for us to document all that. We always anticipate if somebody has to pick that up next year, can they find out everything they need to know from that one document? And then as a marketing department, we actually review the entire campaign. So Open Day is a campaign for prospective students, and it's part of that Year 12 student journey. So we review the entire campaign because it's not just Open Day or on the day, it's the whole lead up to and the information that those students get. So we actually do what we call a post-mortem. It's part of an agile process that we do within marketing, and everybody will contribute their findings, what worked well, for example, what had good click-throughs on the website or what emails got good traction, and so on and so forth. So we tie that whole journey together and review it in its entirety, and everybody will do their feedback into what worked. We do liked, learned, longed for, and there's one other that I can't remember, and we'll document all of that so that, again, we can review for next year's campaign as well.
And when do you start the promotion for the next Open Day? Like how far in advance? Is that 6 months or?
Yeah, it's a good question. We will do the planning 6 months out, but the actual campaign is tricky because we have other campaigns in market. So like I said, the Year 12 journey generally starts at the beginning of the year for them. And so we are communicating to Year 12 students in person right from about April when they start doing expos. But as a marketing team, we also have to market semester 2 commencement. So there's a mid-year campaign that happens in between. So we actually promote mid-year enrollments to try and get students to commence in September 2. And then as soon as we're sort of done with that, we have to squeeze Open Day in. So we like a six-week lead time is ideal. At the middle of the year is tricky because we also want students to commence in semester 2 that are normally everybody else. So not a Year 12 student, but all the other students basically.
Yep.
And international, we've had some big increases in some larger intakes in semester 2. Yes. For a while post-lockdown. So something's definitely working.
That's right. And not all of our courses offer a mid-year intake, but there is a big portion that do. But yeah, the international market is important for some of those as well because they don't want to wait another 6 months to start if they can come now. So yeah, we have to juggle. There's a full, obviously, campaign plan for the year. And so we have to squeeze in sort of in between them. But like I said, 6 weeks is normally a good lead time to promote something like Open Day.
Fantastic. Ash, why don't you read out the next question to Kristy?
I was thinking that I think yes. The short and long answer is yes. Kristy, pivoting well into a very different direction, you recently attended a Women in Leadership workshop at the Richmond Football Club. Go Tigers. And I will hear nothing except that they are the best team, not that I overly follow football, except for the fact that I go for Tigers. What was that like? What is sort of your favourite takeaway from that day?
Yeah, thanks. It was a really good opportunity. So obviously we partner with Richmond, and so their football club obviously decided to offer the Women in Leadership Day, and it had a big focus working with the Richmond Football Club women's team. So they had some of their players. We heard from Katie Brennan and a few others. They had a couple of guest speakers, which was great. Kate Palmer, who was involved in, I think it was the Commonwealth Games and Australian Netball, and a lovely lady named Lyle Stone that spoke about their experiences, which was great. Overall, it was a really supportive day. There was a bit of talk about being women and the juggle as well. So juggling professional and personal life, because there is a load there for women to do both. So that was it was just a really supportive space and to talk through some of those challenges and how some of the tools that might help people do that juggle and where you might be able to take away a few tips and tricks. But being leaders and leading team, one thing I really took out of it was a discussion around feedback, but it was asking for feedback, but also offering feedback when dealing particularly with staff, whether it's your employees or employers or colleagues. But it's really having that conversation about asking if somebody's open for feedback. And it's a very simple step. It's a little question, but it can actually change people's perspective as to how they take on a conversation or take on some feedback. So it was just a little tip that I'll take away of that with me. It's just asking if somebody is open to receiving feedback. Can change a person's.
And what if they say no?
Well, and then if they say no, then, if that's a very good point, then maybe they're not in a place or a position to think about what is affecting them and how they may be able to prove, but they might be able to come around to that in a time period or whatnot. But not everybody is in a position to receive feedback at certain points in time, and they may actually just want you to listen. And that was the other thing, was sometimes you might just be the sounding board or the listening point. You don't actually have to give you 2 cents worth. So.
Fantastic. That's really good. I saw that on LinkedIn that you'd been there. So it looked really interesting and it looked like a really full room of women.
Yeah, it was good. And it was their first time they've done it. And so they would hope to do it yearly and move and keep going and doing it. But like I said, there was great involvement from the women's team and their panel, and they had different guest speakers. So it was a really lovely space and environment to be in for the day.
Unreal. Sounds great. Kristy, reflecting on your time at Swinburne, what would you say is your proudest achievement? We'd love to hear more about what makes you most proud of your work.
Yeah, this is a really good question. I had to think about it for a little while, and the sort of changing point for me was probably when I went from working on my own to working in a team. So there was a period there, I think I had probably been employed for about 3 years, and Swinburne actually went through a major change across the whole university. It was a one Swinburne restructure, and I had the opportunity to bring in some resources to a central events team, and I was appointed in the coordinator of that team. So that was really my proudest moment for a long time. I really wanted to achieve that and guide a team through coordinating our events, particularly before I moved into that next step in my personal life where I started having children and those sorts of things. It was really important for me to reach that step. And so I was really proud when I did, and then I was given the resources, and then one particular employee that I employed way back then is still with us today. So bringing in a team that we've got great longevity out of, but great growth. And so I'm actually really proud of the team, to be honest, which is a reflection of myself and my leadership. So I really enjoy having a supportive environment and providing that for the team and allowing them to grow and push them to improve and then move on to other things if that's where they're at. But yeah, I take a lot of pride in that team environment and providing an environment for us to work together, because what we do is so reliant on others and just within our team, but also external to our team across the university.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, and also just reflect back on your own leadership skills. And it's really important that you can discuss that and speak about it openly, because it is important, and it's testament to you, Kristy, that you've got a long-term team with you. So it sounds like they all love working with you. Is there any job openings at the moment?
There's not. I've had one of so Kristen, who's been with us for probably 7 years. She's just gone on parental leave. So she's having her first bub, and Jess has come into the team in her parental leave position. So we did have a bit of a shake-up. We had a bit of movement when Kristen left and somebody else departed, but we've been able to promote internally too, which is the other thing I love about having the team and having a few different levels, is we bring people in and we sort of teach them on the job really, and then promote them internally if they're up to it. So no, not at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Hey, no. You're in my team. What is this? Why am I laughing? No.
Just asking for a friend.
That's right.
All right, you can read out the next question to Kristy.
So, Kristy, the podcast professional, as you know, run by professional staff for all staff. We do have a lot of professional staff listening in, and a lot of those staff organise events and look after engagement for specific areas, whether it's in the research space like Kristy and part of certain deliverables on external contracts, or generally engagement around the areas that they support. What sort of is your best tip or most crucial information would you share with people?
This is a good one too, and doing events. And I think the main impact on us and organising our events is actually our relationships across the university. So not just within our team, it's all the other areas. And because you're so reliant on other people to do certain things. So there's so many processes at Swinburne and so many steps, from booking spaces and moving furniture around or bringing in hired equipment or catering, et cetera, you're often very dependent on other people. So my biggest tip is building those relationships. Having been here for such a long time, I've got some great relationships, and we've also seen a lot of change within the university over the last sort of three or 4 years. And so there's been a challenge to grow new ones, which is also an exciting time because it can bring new things to the university and to our roles. So my biggest tip or trip is actually building those relationships with people. We work so closely with many other event organisers in the university, and we often have events in the same week or the same space, or Open Day, for example, we butt right up against Welcome Back Week and orientation. So it's really important that we work with the student life team. We share resources where we can to save costs and those sorts of things. And actually the end of year celebration for the staff celebration is actually a working party. It's coordinated by a working party for people from across all different departments, because it's actually no single one person's responsibility to deliver that. So my biggest tip is build those relationships and meet those people, and help people out. If people need your help, it'll always come back around and you might need somebody else's help.
Yeah. And that's, I'm not sure if everyone's aware of the events network that we've got at Swinburne, and it's been a great place for us to share knowledge, put a call out for, oh my God, I need an ice bucket, or just anything, where can I quickly get X, Y, and Z? So if
difficulties.
I call it the Swinternet.
We still haven't got Kristy back yet.
We do not have Kristy back yet. I'm going to... You can't mute people in Zoom.
Oh, there you go. We've lost her altogether.
We lost her. She heard what we were saying.
Yeah.
She left us, everyone. This is unprecedented in the podcast. No, it's actually very precedented.
I was going to say, have you had this before?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of networks, interestingly, that's also what people say they like the most about any job. I was going to say Swinburne, and it's true, but it's actually any job. If you enjoy a job, but you still will not enjoy it if you don't enjoy working with the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
So isn't that, it's always the people.
It is. It's definitely about the people. Yeah.
So finally, as our VIP guest today, and very relevant for the people, our 2023 theme for the SPSN network is belonging. Very relevant in a post-lockdown world, very relevant to people. And in this hybrid and flexible work, but also in quite a problem-solving, lean, staff-wise structure, people really are the only thing making it all happen. So how do you feel about belonging as the theme, and how it resonates with quite strongly, I would assume, your work?
Yeah, look, I love this. Swinburne is just a big community. We're not as large an institution as some of our competitors, and I actually think that is great for us, and it goes in our favour. So, I love that Swinburne is a big community, and it really does feel like a family. Particularly, there's people that have been here for a long time. So, I personally, within our marketing and comms and media team, we've got a really great feeling of belonging. We've got a wonderful leader in Carolyn Bendel, And it creates that team environment and that network. It's quite a large team, and so it's important that we all work together. And really, I like I said, I love this. I think I have a very strong sense of belonging at Swinburne. I've grown up here really and moved into that next phase of my life. And as I've sort of touched on, I think it's really important within our marketing team, but also in my own events team and our two teams that we've got now too. It really creates that pride. And then it really comes out in what we do and how we showcase Swinburne. It's important for people to want to come to study at Swinburne in what we do with our student recruitment events. And so, yeah, I love this. I have a very strong sense of belonging here at Swinburne, and I hope others feel it too. And it's certainly something that I try and engage in and portray throughout our team.
Wow, that sounds like a really good answer. I missed half of it because my Zoom crashed.
Kristy came back, everyone.
Yeah, welcome back.
It's a miracle.
All right, and let's wrap it up. Well, I think it sounds like
great chat.
Whilst I was gone, you covered off those last couple of questions, which is great. Thank you so much. But coming to the end of our podcast today. So it's been really awesome having you with us, Kristy, and hearing a little bit more about your role and what you do. And you play such an important role at Swinburne, and it's great to be working alongside you in lots of little ways. And we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you. I've loved coming on it. It's lovely to be involved. And I wish you all the best in the podcast. It's fantastic. So I hope people have enjoyed listening.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. And we've got a no edit rule. So
absolutely.
There's a no edit. We just put a bit of music
go with the flow.
At the end. So that just about wraps up another episode, but we have one more episode to go before the end of the year, and that will be with the SPSN chair, Nicola Howard, who's currently in Perth at a conference. So she's going to come back with an amazing range of good stuff to talk to us about. But I have to tell you, we have totally nailed this one, Ash, even though Zoom dropped out and we had a few tech issues at the beginning. But you know what? So what? So why don't you please give us a score out of 10, Ash?
It's always 11. I've played with other numbers before, and now I've played with so many different numbers that I can't actually remember where we were at in the scores, and I was determined to always increase them. So I might actually not have increased for the first time ever, but I think I just have to go back to basics and make sure that we are rated 11 out of 10.
Yeah, don't go changing. I love it, Ash. All right, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time on the Podcast Professionals. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.